Welcome to Dyson Sphere Program. My name is Nilaus. This is a tutorial on how to make a manufacturing hub, and I can tell you that has been a lot of work. I have spent an incredible amount of time just making sure that we get all these things sorted and it looks good for you. Now the thing is, I can't provide you a blueprint, so I will, instead of building it, I will be going slowly through it, and then we'll have some top-down pictures as well. Let's start by giving some context of what the purpose of this thing that we're going to do is, and for this video. So I've done a previous video on the polar hub where we expand and we just sort of magically summon all materials in. I have done a previous tutorial on a jumpstart base, which is as you start wanting to automate things, well, there you go, you have a nice design to automate. So where does this video fit in? It fits exactly in right between the two, where it takes the jumpstart base that we built in the beginning, and then we now expand it so that the stuff that we have built and additional stuff becomes available through interstellar logistic stations to any other planet you expand to. So it's kind of a natural progression of what we already have done, and there will be some slight changes to the locations of things in the jumpstart base, but the essence is the same, and if you build it, then work with that from there on. And now this is not by no means like the final thing that I will argue that it's the best thing ever. Well, maybe I will, but I'm really happy about it and I'm really proud of it. And you can take it and you can make whatever changes you want, and you can make more or less whatever. That's totally fine. This is inspiration, and if you want to copy it frame by frame, then I'll try to go through it in detail. So this will actually be the second of 3 tutorials that form sort of the basis of how to do manufacturing hubs. The first was a jumpstart, then we have sort of the intermediate, and anything we don't build here we'll build in a separate location and a separate methodology, and I will make sure that that tutorial comes out shortly, as fast as possible, so that you have everything that you need to do to expand your global empire. No, not global, your galactic empire. Sounds good, right? So where do we start? We start with a design principle. The design principle of my jumpstart base was that it was only stuff that required iron, stone, circuits, and magnetic coils. Now I'm expanded it to say also glass, steel, and plasma exciters. Those are the things. So anything that requires anything beyond that is not going to be part of this this manufacturing hub. So that means anything with copper or silicon is not going to be here. Let me start by just explaining the basic premise, and just so that you can recognize from here and all the way over to that location, that is basically the jumpstart base. And yes, I have changed the sequence, and the sequence is only important for the matter of this one, the Tesla towers. That's the only one that's important to have at the end. So what we do here is, if we look back at the jumpstart base, I would have things being produced at this location. You can still have that if you have your production of coils and circuits and gears right out here and feed it in here. But at some point you will transition to having it from an interstellar logistics station. And in this case, we can see here, we are requesting the 4 things that are part of it. And I am making the gears on site because gears are not really used for many things. The only thing gears are used for are these things. Plus one more thing that I can't remember, but there's one more thing that's super annoying that's also requiring, yes, but I can remember that. And then, of course, I'm bringing in space warpers here because that's the one place we have left. What I'm doing is I'm minimizing the amount of interstellar logistics stations, ILS, here. And it's still a lot, but you need a lot of products coming in and out. So this is why. So also because I have chosen to minimize it, there's one item that I'm not producing anywhere, I'm not going to produce, and that is the water pump. My experience is you don't need a lot of water pumps, so, and they do need engines, so that's the one thing where I'm like, yeah, sorry, you just have to build them. You can add it yourself if you want it somewhere, but I just couldn't fit it in here without having an extra interstellar logistics station on top of it, and I just couldn't justify it. So let's look at it. When we look at the jumpstart base, it was outputting out here into boxes. What I've then done is sort of the natural progression is to take the first 5 and simply put them into an interstellar logistics station, make them available. There are some key principles here that I would emphasize, is that all of these are set to 100, and you set the minimum load of vessels to 10%. That means even in the late game, when each vessel can transport 1,000, then it will transport when you have 10% of that, which is the 100. Because you want to make sure that you can transport this around and not wait for it to go up to 1000, which it never will because you've constrained it here. So make sure you set this one, minimum load of vessels, to 100 to 10% for all of them. You can, and this is important, you can actually set it down to 1. I don't need it. I don't want to transport less than 100. Now this one, there is a difference. That's the smelters. I have 200 here because I'm always going to need more smelters than 100. The other things are going to be available. These will actually, mainly the top 3 here will mainly be available only on this planet because I don't need it. But I have set everything up to be available global, galactically, interstellarly. Interstellarly? That's not a word. Then we have the boxes. It is, at this point, I would rather have less storage here and just make a single box. You could also lead it directly in, but you know, if you already have these boxes, it's much easier just to plop one of these down and then lead it in here, and then just make sure that you constrain it. The one I haven't constrained is here because, you know, I want more smelters. But if I, and this is an important part when you're doing a global interstellar storage with these, if you have 1000 here, then no matter if this is set to 10% and the receiving system is set to 10% and the receiving system is set to max 100, if you have 1000 here, the vessel will pick up everything and send everything. And I really don't want to send out 1000 smelters every time I want to expand to a new planet, and I want to just have some smelters. So that's why I leave only 200 here, and then any excess I want, because I might be at a location where I say, you know what, I'm going to need 400 smelters. Then I pick up the 200 that's already on that planet according to the Polar Hub tutorial I just did previously, and then these will quickly fill in here at 30 per second. Well, actually less because there's the inserter, but then still pretty fast. It'll fill up pretty fast, and then I can summon more and more and more. So that's how I want to do it. All the other ones, see this one, you can always just argue, do you want, if you have 100, then 20. I don't think there's much point to anything here. I have incorporated, as I said, the gears in here, so they go out on the third belt. When you set up these, I think it's the only thing that you should keep in mind is like take these items here. The only thing that is important is to put the Tesla tower at the end. Why is the Tesla tower important at the end? Because Tesla tower is the only final product, only building that is actually used as part of another building. The wireless power tower. Wireless power tower. It should be wireless Tesla tower. Power tower is a stupid word. But that's an irrelevant thing. And again, 5 of these into 1, 5 into 1, 5 into 1. And the line at the back here, very conveniently, is just transporting warpers. So everyone has warpers without them requesting it and therefore taking a spot. It's only this one, and there was a room for it because I was only requesting 4 things. So let's go over to some of the extensions of the jumpstart base so you can see the difference here. Now, this is where I start adding some other things that I didn't have in the original, such as Matrix Lab, because it requires glass. So I basically looked at this and said, you know, magnetic coil is not used for anything beyond this. So I don't need it. So we can stop that line, and then I have replaced the line with glass coming in. Secondly, we don't need gears beyond this location as well, not at all. So we can also stop the gear line. And that means I have just a bit room here between that one and this one to put my Tesla towers over to the wireless power towers. Damn those names. And that means this one will go in here and be done. And then I have the plasma exciters going out as the third one out here, because plasma exciters is being used for the wireless power tower, the oil extractor, the refinery, the oil refinery, but nothing else. And glass is being used for the chemical plants. And where is the other one? Oh yeah, that one, the tank, the liquid tank, and also here. So there's 3 things requiring glass, 3 things that require the plasma exciters. And on the other hand, on the other side here, all of these things are requesting steel but no iron. So I have replaced the iron line somewhere down here. There, this is the last thing that requires iron. So I have stopped the iron line and replaced it with a steel line coming in from the other side. Ugh, wow, that camera move. Camera work. Not going to win any Oscars for camera work here. So what you're seeing is basically I take 3 additional lines in they go in and supplement. The steel replaces the iron, the glass replaces the magnetic coils, and the plasma exciters replaces the gears. Those are the key things that you keep in mind when you build it yourself. And of course, what you could do as well, if in this case I'm just bringing in from the other side, so there's no other things, but if you have more of a bus structure, then you can and bring it in here, bring those lines in, bring the other lines up top if you feel so inclined, and then once you get all the way over here, you can sort of bring it down here. Then you can have the glass on top of the magnetic coils and then bring it down, and it's going to do exactly the same. I just like things nice and flat and manageable, easy to access, easy to overview, especially for a tutorial, because I want to make sure that you can get the sense of what's going on here. So this is the first one, and there is an addition, because I already know that you're going to ask about two things. No, it's going to be one thing, but the answer is two different ways. What about all the stuff that you need that isn't here? Because if we look at this there and look at all these buildings, we're only doing like Mark 1s, Mark 1 and Mark 1, but you really want to transition into Mark 3, 2s and 3s as fast as you possibly can. So let's address that. Also, what about all the other things like satellites and solar panels, ray receivers, fusion exchangers, most importantly the interstellar logistics station, all of those things? Where are you going to do that? Now, the one thing I will say is I will do a separate tutorial on the more advanced stuff. So this one will take all the stuff that I feel is reasonable to support with belts. I like it. It's simple. It's now everything is accessible in nice quantities. What I will then do is saying, well, the things that you actually need a lot of, that's actually this part here. This 3x3 matrix is something you really need a lot of. So let's also go through how I want to do that, because at this point we are simply making making number one. And all right, by the way, at the end I'll do a slow walkthrough down the line, so you can pause the video at that point, because there's no blueprints. If someone wants to make a drawing of this, like a diagram, by all means, that would be super awesome. I just don't have the time for it. But if someone would not want to make a diagram of it, share it in my Discord, and then I'll link it as the top pinned comment if someone wants to do that. That would be super helpful, I think. But aside from this, we'll do a short walkthrough at the end, so you can see the actual layouts if you're sort of in doubt about how I draw the belts. Cool. So this is the other part. See this nice purple square around it? I think that actually is super nice. I mean, it's not as nice as writing the letters, but letters take so long time to do. This thing here is just basically like, this is the finished build, done, it's good. And this is again, it just feels a bit excessive that we have three towers just to support this tiny little thing. But it's actually going to be high throughput, because at locations, at times, I will just simply go, I want 2,000 belts, and then I want 2,000 belts more, especially when I just use them for frames as well. So what is it we have here, and why is it needed to have 5? Well, you can see here there are 5 things into this one, 5 things into this one, and then 3 things out here for providing. So I can't really use less than this. Let's go through how it works. Now these are just placed in a sort of matrix format here, so it goes in as level 2, level 3, level 2, 3, level 2 and 3. The one thing I should note is that when you don't have the last tier, that's okay. Just move this box into this location and feed it over here. But now you know how much space it's going to take. For example, the Assembly Machine Mark III comes quite a lot later than all the other things, because it requires quantum chips and the particle broadband. While I would recommend that you actually leapfrog the Sorters Mark II and the Belts Mark II if at all possible. Just try to get into the top tiers as fast as possible. I mean, fast as possible. Just, you're probably going to need it, but this is just so much better. And then you have the right setup for everything. Anyway, so let's go through this. This is just requesting a tiny bit. All of this is set to local demand. Again, also minimum load of vessels. I don't even have this because I want to request things locally. And of course, this is something that just screams that you want to build this on your home planet, where you have all materials available, because you want to be able to request all these things in. So we have the 3 things requested from our expanded jumpstart base, our manufacturing hub or belt-based hub, and then going into this one. They're here, and then some electric motors and some turbines. The electric motors are only needed for the sorters Mark II, while the turbines are used for the sorters Mark III and for the belts Mark II. So that is why it goes in here and feeds these two. Then from the other side, we have for the assemblers Mark II, we have, well, obviously assemblers Mark I, and then we have the processors coming in here, and on top of the process we also need the graphene. But graphene is also used for belts Mark II. So the graphene is coming in there, that belt. There, goes in, and it can just fit in right here in the middle. There's just room for it. This middle one goes through, that one goes in here, and then it goes two in here. So there's just exactly enough room. Everything is really tightly packed and really easy to overview. No weird spaghetti belts here. And then the last thing, which will come significantly later, here I'll just hook up the last two, the particle broadband and the quantum chips when you have it, put it in, and then you get the happy, good assembly machines. Now at this point, this is actually, and then I feed it in here. The amount you put in here is the amount you want to request at the destination station, a destination planet. So I would not want to get more than 100 assemblers at a location. They're simply too expensive and I don't need it. If I need 100 assemblers, I'm going to be requesting 100 assemblers and then I can request some more later on. But they do take a bit of time to make, and maybe I'm building something massive where I need 200 assemblers, but I still don't want every single planet to have 200 assemblers. So make sure you keep this number at the amount that you want transported. Not having it as a buffer. Any additional buffer should be here. So I can build up another 250. That means when someone comes in and picks up these, then they will be quite quickly filled up again and be ready for another load. That did not take a very long time. So if you're at a foreign planet, you can request it, you get the 100 in, and as soon as you get the 100 in, you will see that it takes 10 seconds to fill it up again. You can request another 100 in as well, and then you have the 200. So it's really simple to do, and this one will then gradually fill up again. There. Okay, maybe that's a bit much. There. Likewise, how much do you want here? I have 2,000 here. Do I want another 2,000 in storage? I could, because why not? And again here, I don't think for inserters that I want so much. 1,000 inserters is also seems to be a lot at most times, but you can set it as you like. Just remember that this is the amount you will always get as a minimum. Minimum 1,000 or minimum this cap, what you have here. You will get 1,000 if you have 1,000. At least, that's how it is. And if not, you'll get it. And again, remember the minimum load of vessels. So that's basically really, really simple. And I can guarantee you, this might look simple, but it sure as hell wasn't simple to set up. This one was okay. But it's still like a matter of, I'm putting these on the intersections so that it fits nicely. And yeah, you can probably compact it a bit more, but I think this has a nice view to it. And there's also a matter of how close can you actually place these. They don't really like to be close to each other for obvious reasons. Like this, you need to get a certain distance away, which is kind of also where this one is. So we have this one, and I am super happy about it, and it works brilliantly today. So that one takes care of all the items that are being used a lot, like the logistics items, and over on the other side, this takes care of sort of more of the menial things. The remaining things, the more advanced stuff, if we just look at our crafting, all the advanced stuff, all the stuff related to Dyson Sphere, to logistics, to particle colliders, artificial suns, all of that stuff is more of a, well, mid to late game. So that's at a different location and a different methodology that I don't really want to go into in this one, because it does require a bit of a setup as well. But I'll hurry up and make that video as soon as possible. But let's go back. It's now nighttime, unfortunately. But let's go through this one. I will just walk through this briefly, not briefly, slowly, so that you can get a good overview. And if you want to pause the video, go right ahead. And so if you're copying it yourself. In the meantime, then I can just use this as an excuse for reminding you to subscribe to the channel if you have not. There's tons more Dyson Sphere Program on the channel. I'm also streaming on Twitch. This is at twitch.tv/Nilaus, and I am live there usually Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with Dyson Sphere Program for as long as that has an interest. and we're just looking through all of these. Let's just set to full provide. Remember to set this. Remember to have here, get the belts in on this side, and then you can look at the sorters here, but at the end of the day you can just put the sorters in and then see if it works. If it doesn't work, then just put the sorters in until it works. Moving forward to the next one. Here also just provide. Remember all the usual things. Takes a while to set up. And then we get to sort of the bit more complicated, where it goes beyond what was in the previous setup here. Again, 5 of these are going in here. And then as we look at this, we can just, I'll say that I also have a Patreon. So if you are interested in supporting the channel and the work I do here, then Patreon is the best way to support. There's of course no obligation, but it's I really appreciate the people who are supporting the channel and the work. Yeah, so that's just felt like mentioning that as well during these tutorials. And the last one here is where we just get the last 3 things. Remember, you have to make plasma exciters somewhere and request them in here. And then the last 2 items. You can experiment with different sequences, but I can guarantee you I tried a lot of sequences until I found something that actually worked, because the tricky part is getting it from the Tesla tower into this one without sort of going above and below and all that stuff. So there you have it. That is the sort of the intermediate hub, manufacturing hub, that will start supporting your other planets, the extension of the Jumpstart base. If you're interested more, then I plan to sort of tie these tutorials together so that we have the Jumpstart base. We now go into the intermediate manufacturing hub, then we have the late game manufacturing hub, and then I'm going to go into how the planets are structured and some of those more advanced things as well. So I hope you're enjoying these and appreciate the work here. So I hope you can use it for your own Let's Play, your own playthroughs in your bases. And yeah, feel free to let me know if there's something I've forgotten. There's probably something, because there's a lot of moving parts here. And yeah, as I said, if you like it, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you feel like it, if you want to see more content. Thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you either here on YouTube or on the live stream, or maybe on Discord discussing future layouts. Thank you for watching, and as always, stay effective.